Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Telling Tales. Telling Tales in 2023. Who would have thought we'd ever be here? By that, I don't mean us as the channel. I just mean all of us, right? Who'd have thought that we'd have made it this far? There are very strong arguments that we haven't. But either way, hi. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had an excellent festive season, whether you have festive inclinations or not. And we're going to play some more Symbaroum this year. We're going to play a whole bunch of Symbaroum this year, probably. We're currently playing The Witchhammer, part 2 of the big ongoing campaign, The Throne of Thorns, from Fria Ligan. And we're going to get on with it, essentially. I'll bring on the players in a minute and we can do some recapping. But first, the usual promo blurb. If you check down below this here video, you will find a number of links. There's links to our YouTube, links to our Twitch. If you're watching this on one of those sites, please do check out the other one. If you have any interest in a vast collection of actual play videos, then our YouTube is the place to go. There's also links to our social media, to our Patreon, to our Discord. Those things do what you might expect them to do. Please check them out if you're interested. We also, well, at the moment, we run 2 weekly series. One is Vason on Mondays, which returns for the new year this coming Monday. The other is Symbaroum on Wednesdays, of course. That's what you're watching right now. We also run one-shots, I can't speak, in the new year, once a month. But this month, there's 2 because we missed one at the end of last year. So this Saturday, we're going to do the final installment of our Alien tabletop role-playing game trilogy, which is called An Offering of Locusts, and we'll be live with that at 3 p.m. GMT this coming Saturday. And then the next one, which is a sequel to our One Ring Lotro crossover extravaganza, will be live on Sunday, 22nd of January, so just in a couple of weeks' time. So please do check those out if you're interested. Yeah, and that's probably enough from me. You know what? Any stream where I open up and I'm not a complete embarrassment is a win. That's another notch on the wall of a very narrow row of notches. So there we go. Before I say anything further, let's bring on our first player tonight. Our first player is Chris. It's just me and Chris. Wow. Like the old days, Chris.
I think this is the first time I've been on first. So
suck it for a while.
The rest of the squad.
It certainly feels like it's been a while, but yeah, it's like the old days, Chris. It should be 10 years ago, us playing Orcs Must Die 2 under the desperate illusion that we'd make it as Let's Players on YouTube. Wow, just classic. Chris plays Steo, former infantryman, former town guards turned reluctant and curmudgeonly adventurer. Chris, why don't you let us know how we opened the last Symbaroum session of 2022?
So we attended after a bit of debate. We went and had decided to bend our course by Archbridge before deciding on our next stop, which we think is going to be the settlement of goddess worshippers in the far, far east of Davokar. But Archbridge being the kind of capital of the what's the name? Ephanaeus tribe. I've forgotten the name again.
The Odavs.
The Odav capital, built around the remains of the ruins of a Symbaric bridge. One arch is largely intact, a bridge with no logistical purpose as it does not cross the nearby river, which I found very interesting. But beneath this, huddled around this bridge for quite some distance, was quite a large town and quite civilized isn't the right word, but a familiar town. Not a lot more kind of more similar to Ambrian settlements than dissimilar to them. So we arrived here and kind of went down the busy streets, and the first thing that happened was we were accosted by a northerner, a tribesman, offering us free lodgings in the kind of communal, kind of large internal barn type tents, where the lodgings are free and you have to pay for beer. So initially, Steo, being a paranoid soul, thought this was a scam and decided to move on, because we had decided to travel east with boats. So we went through the town and found the shore, the temple, Archbridge being on a river. And there we found a shipwright and found some okay riverboats for some reasonable amounts of money, which could take us which would take us on the long journey east. We also we didn't get any more provisions, actually, because we brought all of those back from Carvosti. So I think that's about it. We along the way, but our next stop was to sort out our licensing problems.
Absolutely, and to talk about all the excitement of licensing problems, let's bring on our next player, Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar novice turned member of the group, slicer of any number of things with a very large sword. Stephen, take us through that admin.
It's a series high point for me. Real fascinating stuff. So we needed our Davakar exploration licenses extended, so that they'd still be valid by the time we'd taken our trip upriver and back, and via whatever other detours might end up happening. We got pointed towards a sort of embassy, for want of a better word, a desk, where we could do that. We were quoted the price until the end of the year of, I think, 138 thala, which is wildly expensive. And so we sent in Anton to sort of use his priestly wiles and see if we could talk them down a bit, and we managed to get it down to 128. Anton and Ascarai between them could afford that. The rest of us are skint. So I think we're basically all completely impoverished now. But from a legal standpoint, we're good to continue exploring the forest. So that was that.
Absolutely. And speaking of going to explore the forest, we had a bit of an encounter with other people who may be doing the same thing, or at least became aware of them at this point. And to talk about that, let's roll out Sam. Speaking people out of the usual, for some reason, Sam almost always ends up being last or second to last in the recaps. I think it's because I like to end on suspenseful bits, and Ascarai is the best character for noticing suspenseful things are about to happen. But either way, not this time. So Sam, who plays, as mentioned already, Ascarai, our changeling ranger, scout, and boa arrower. Let us know what happened in that camp place.
Yeah, we'd slowly been convinced that the camp wasn't somehow a scam or a place that wasn't going to kill us. So we went to stay the night there, since it seemed to be free and relatively safe. It was filled with people from all, like, clansmen, Ambrians, a whole bunch of different people, but we noticed a lot of people from the Baiga clan, including one group with a bear, which is kind of a Baiga clan thing, but I don't know. Not everyone was so aware of that being a thing, but they had a friendly bear with them. And as we were setting up camp, I think we also noticed a group coming in who had under their normal travel cloaks, black cloaks of church, black cloaks fame. And so we became quite concerned about this. We'd heard some talk about black cloaks in terms of people who had been chasing after Almendra and up to things that maybe were not aligned with what we were doing. So we were a little bit worried. We discussed maybe having to wait a day to see where they would go, and then figuring things out. In the end, I think Ascarai got sent over to try and eavesdrop a little bit, and all he heard was they mentioned about a temple, and they mentioned about they kind of confirmed what we'd heard previously about rumors of troops gathering around Thistlehold, and mentioned that this could be kind of a falling out between a duke and the queen, but I think we still think it's probably more likely that this is some kind of excursion into Davakar. But you know, they mentioned that it could be the duke, and so Askar went back to the group, and we kind of they seemed to be provisioned for a long journey, but we didn't know exactly what they were doing. So I think we kind of waited out the night. We decided to sleep and see what they did in the morning, and then go from there was our plan.
Absolutely. And to talk about what happened overnight, because definitely nothing dramatic, let's bring out John. John plays Sir Aaron Dar, last surviving remnant of House Dar, and idealistic young noble in quotation marks. Yes, John, go on.
Well, we were woken up in the middle of the night with some sort of a commotion, and it turned out that a couple of drunk Ambrians had decided that they wanted to make friends with the friendly bear, and the bear was not as friendly as one would assume, having been woken up in the middle of the night, and may have removed a limb from someone. The Ambrians were very upset at this. The owners of the bear were very confused to why anyone would try and wake a bear up. And it at first seemed like it was going to escalate to violence. Like, various of the group were like sort of moving forward, attempting to talk people down or step in or maybe just be a meat shield, when the black cloaks from earlier stepped forward, and the one in charge talked everyone down, talked the Ambrians into backing off, and completely de-escalating the situation with no more bear mauling.
With no more bear mauling, and just a quiet, respectful word, and we can take that from that what we will from the Black Cloak. But to talk about the Black Cloaks in a little more detail, or at least interactions with their leader, let's bring on our final player tonight, Mike. Mike plays Anton, Theurg of Prios, Holy Man, and sometime whacker of surprisingly powerful monsters with a flail. Mike, take us through to up to date.
So the Black Cloak wanted to go for an enjoyable, relaxing midnight stroll with Anton, which Anton wasn't particularly keen to do, but felt like he didn't have much choice in the matter. That talk revealed that the Black Cloak, whose name is Argaton, all of those letters in the wrong order, Father Argaton, knew who Anton was, but Anton didn't know who he was. He introduced himself as Argaton Salage, Salage being a noble house, the first father's house, in fact, although Argaton was not the first father. And it was a kind of a conversation that sort of was friendly, but then had some veiled threats in it as well. He revealed that himself and his party of Black Cloaks are heading towards the Sun Temple to the sort of northeast of Archbridge, and then potentially are going a little bit further, and it's sort of implied that they're going to Symbaroum. And having revealed that information, he asked where we're going. Anton said that, yeah, we are going to New Earthmore. And he basically said, like, you know, it's good to have these discussions in amicable terms, and if should we meet again in the forest, let's hope they remain amicable. And he also said, my party need to gather some supplies for a day. So you can make your way down the river and we will be a day behind you. And it's not like you have a day's head start and we're hunting you down. It was just, we won't be traveling on top of each other together, basically down the street.
Yeah, it was like, as you say, it was an odd mixture of sort of quite respectful, but at the same time, I think he made out that, like, you know, if you're both after the same thing, who can say what will happen in the heat of, you know, of that survival out in Davakar? Yeah. Therefore, perhaps it is better to try and intentionally avoid each other, which is probably as nice, you know, as nice a threat as you could potentially receive, I think.
Yeah, he made reference to like we have our orders, like, which is sort of like, you know, I will be under obligation to potentially, you know, escalate things further if I have to. But yeah, after that conversation, which ended in a fairly amicable way, we went back to sleep, got up the next morning, went to go and get our boats, and we set off, heading east down the river.
Did indeed. And there we go. Let's pick up from there. And I think we sort of painted the picture of who is traveling in which canoe sometime during the last session. I think we said that Elindra will be traveling with Revelia, with the Squire. And I think we said that Arindar and Steo were together, and that Ascarai and Anton would be together as well. So those are your pairings as you are making your way up the river Malgamore, and it is, you know, up is the operative word here. This is the end of winter, and you would really say that as you start going up the river that you feel like winter is closing and spring is arriving now. In some ways that makes the journey better because the river water has slightly less iciness to it, and obviously the air is a bit less frosty, but at the same time spring also brings along with it a couple of things that make river travel less than ideal. One is the fact that the flow of the Malgamore is increasing noticeably every day as you paddle upstream, as the ice melts presumably further up in the mountains. The Ravens, I think, are the mountains to the east. And also, spring brings with it the birthing of vast clouds of stinging and biting insects, all of which find rivers and lakes and the like really quite pleasant. Not as pleasant as landing on the faces of foolish treasure hunters and nipping at those. So I cannot say that your journey so far, you've only been traveling 2 days at this point, let's say. It's very much not pleasant, and it's very hard going. Paddling up against this this current is hard work, very hard work. And unless you find potentially another solution, or you take a different tack, or you suspect it's probably going to take longer than the 12 to 14 days you originally anticipated. Not much more, but certainly you're not making speedy progress. You could still do the same thing. That's fine. Just so you know.
We also, the Black Cloak said they'd have, like, give us a day. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So we also have that kind of threat behind us if we go too slowly of getting caught up by the... Okay.
I mean, I think them catching us up is not... It didn't sound like that was automatically going to be bad for us.
No, not necessarily.
I also don't think that we know how they are traveling. They may be going on foot, potentially.
In which case they might catch up.
You think I don't want to give you their intentions, but I suppose you got the impression, Anton, it wouldn't necessarily be just bumping them into Davakar where they'd be forced to make some difficult decisions. It was more like if you're at Symbaroum and they're at Symbaroum, and there is the key to trying to find where Symbar is, and one person gets it, that's a problem, or potentially a problem.
Yeah.
So how do we think we're feeling about this journey so far? Let's have a little bit of flavor here. Let's have a little bit of describing how each of your characters is coping with these adverse conditions, and how this is reflected on your treatment of the others, or your interactions with the others on this journey so far. And I'm going to go through everyone. New year, bit of like nice fluffy role play stuff to begin with. I'll go through everyone in random order, but random apparently means that number 1 is first. So John, how is Aaron Dar dealing with this journey so far?
I think he's, as with most things, taking it fairly good naturedly. He did start by, he's got like a little like capelet shawl thing. He did start by like trying to wrap it around his face to keep some of the bugs out, but it actually just ended up keeping them in, so that was not welcome, and in the end he's just sort of rested it over, like draped it over Ferren, who I think is sulking in the bottom of the canoe.
If I know cats, that is going to be a sulking cat. Yes.
Occasionally rocking the canoe quite worryingly as he scratches at something.
Or probably swipes at some of the larger insects in the air. And this is Davakar. Like, obviously the midges and the gnats are, kind of chunky for what they are, but there's definitely some very large dragonflies, or and some even larger actual, horse flies. I don't know if anyone out there has had to deal with actual horseflies rather than things that people call horseflies, but they're fucking horrible. So, yeah. How about Elindra?
I think Elindra is probably quite enjoying herself. She's got some kind of physical exercise to sort of keep her busy, and she's got like there's another woman, another girl on the team who she's gonna have a bit of an opportunity to sort of chat to and get to know, I think. And I mean, I'm assuming at this point that Elindra and Revelia actually sort of turn out to enjoy each other's company. We haven't really they've not spoken that much because things have been pretty busy.
I think Revelia has, she's fairly respectful, and kind of, she seems to spend a lot of time observing you, not in a way. In fact, well, I'll tell you, she was a Templar novice as well. In a way, you're very familiar with, in that Templar novices are kind of expected to keep their mouths shut and watch and just pay attention and duplicate things.
So I think Elindra will be spending the couple of days trying to kind of gently kind of coax Revelia out of her shell a little bit, and just to find out some things about where she came from and how she sees the world, and like
absolutely
what life was like in that tower, what she remembers of it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the answer to that is not much, but that's probably for the best. Ascarai, how about yourself? The mask, I'm afraid to say, is no real protection against these small, horrible creatures.
I think Ascarai is probably quite grumpy in the sense that he's used to being in Davakar, but not doing this and making such slow progress. And I think he's probably feeling like he wishes he was walking, like had the cover of the trees, felt a bit safer, like away from all the bugs and the flies, and instead he's like toiling all day trying to like slowly paddle his way upriver. I think he's probably quite grumpy. Probably not the best company for Antom, although he is happy that he's with Antom, given Antom's long time away. So that's probably the one bright point for Ascarai. But in general, I think he's probably quite quiet, probably quite frustrated at the whole method of travel, and just kind of wishing he was walking in the forests rather than slowly paddling up a quite boring and mildly annoying river.
Absolutely. And how about former Sergeant Steo? How's he doing?
Steele's kind of used to not forced marching, but definitely extended periods of having to get somewhere. So he's trying to keep his spirits up. He's not used to getting eaten alive by a crowd of bugs, and is well aware of the story of the founding of Thistlehold, given that wasn't the queen, the princess at the time, afflicted by a bite from some Davokarian creature that ended up
It's the
causing quite the trouble.
queen mother was afflicted by some kind of thing. It's unclear what it was, whether it was some kind of Davokar thing or something, some tool of the Dark Lords from Alberator. But either way, she was afflicted. And yes, indeed, Night Pitch's fortune comes from satisfying the bounty on finding something to cure her.
But despite being Steel isn't good enough, and it's probably what Steel might be doing to pass the time is probably teaching Arendar some old marching songs from the Alberatorian military, and kind of, I suppose, using his captive audience to just force some regale some tales of infantry days upon him.
Aaron would be very receptive to those stories.
Excellent. And finally, Mike, how about Father Anton?
I think Anton would be pretty unhappy in this situation, but he would be trying to put a brave face on it. I guess in between sort of bouts of having his hood up on his cloak to try and keep the flies out before the exertion of paddling makes it too hot and sweaty and uncomfortable under there, and taking his hood off, I think he would be muttering some prayers, perhaps to Prios, when the moment arises, when it all gets a little bit too much, and I guess also kind of steeling himself with some determination to do what the party have intended to do, especially because Anton's purse feels a heck of a lot lighter right now, and this increasingly is a matter of survival financially.
Yeah, and it's also interesting in that not that I take any pleasure in noting this at all, but of course, as well, it's interesting that of the 3 places you have to go, 2 of them are Symbaroum ruins, which may contain very valuable things, but the first place you're going is just someone's home, essentially. So presumably you're not going to make a lot of money from going there. So yeah, absolutely. I shouldn't have mentioned that. Just that feels like I'm hammering it home or something. But okay, well then, as you're making your way up the Malgamore on this 3rd day, I would like some vigilant rolls, please, and I would like them from your descriptions. And this wasn't the reason I was doing it, but I thought I'd take advantage of it. 2 of you said you were quite miserable, and the others said, well, we're really trying to keep, look at the positives of the situation. So can I have a vigilant roll, please, from Arendar, Steo, and Elindra? Vigilant at, I'd say -2.
Absolutely not.
Just roll a 20.
No, but my vigilant is only 5 at the best of times.
Sure.
My vigilant is 9, and I rolled a 7, so I passed.
I needed an 8 and I got a 9, so just failed.
Okay. Well then, Steo, you are the only person to notice, and you see it at the corner of your eye a couple of times through the day, especially as the day goes on. You're almost certain you saw someone or something moving around on the southern shore of the river. You don't know if it was like keeping up with you or just that. I mean, it's a forest with lots of animals in it. It could just be that, but it definitely, it just set off your alarms a little bit. That's all. Especially the multiple times where you thought you saw movement in the underbrush.
So, Steel's far too paranoid to put that off as anything benign. And maybe in a more somber moment, we'll just kind of go to Arendar and say, well, I think we're being followed, maybe stalked on the southern bank. So maybe we camp on the north bank tonight.
Can you see by what or who?
Nothing good, it's Davokar. But to give you a more useful answer, no. last time we camped on these shores, it was some kind of undead wraith nearly killed us all.
Oh. Well, then let's definitely camp on the north.
I think we were camping on the north side when that thing struck as well. But sure, look, it's it's Davokar, Aaron. You just pick which danger you want: mysterious danger or also mysterious danger, but slightly more ethereal. Anyway,
Aaron looks like he is seriously trying to pick between the two of them.
I mean, to be fair, Aaron certainly has his share of danger in Davokar. Before this, it's a Lindra who's a bit unversed in the way of the forest. So I'm assuming you're sharing this information as the day goes on, or snippets of it at least. What can be partly yelled over the roar of the river with people in the other canoes, and we are presumably taking our camp on the north shore.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reasonable.
That sounds about right. Well, then you do so as the day starts to darken. Obviously, you really can't travel upriver at night with the river being in such a state. If one of you went overboard, that would more or less be it. You pull your canoes ashore, presumably get a fire going and the like. Is there any other activity you want to do? Any other precautions or various things you want to do?
I think I will brief, I suppose, from what I remember, Aaron and Alindra on the ghostly terror that we saw last time, which I will do in character because it was kind of a momentous moment at the time.
A shiny gold star of just personal, direct one-to-one approval. If anyone, without looking at their notes, can tell me the name of the wraithly creature that was encountered on the way to the Tomb of Dying Dreams.
Let's go with Alan.
Alan, yes. Let me tell you the story of Alan the Lifeless. Last time we camped here, or in these environs after dark, wraith-like creature came to us. He had a right mess of FNA, nearly killed us. So if something like that happens, I need you to know that physical weapons won't harm this thing, but do not let it touch you.
I think our best bet was to run at that time. Probably still is. Get out in the river if we can.
I'd say so.
I think at the time as well, what spared you more than anything was that it was not coming for you.
Yes. Also, Antom's AoE withering hyper damage field was also a delight.
Yeah, that it was coming for the treacherous fortune hunters that you'd bumped into and shared a camp with.
Good to know.
Got a comment from Lau with the Hurrian Low APAC thing. It was on the way to the tomb of Hurrian Low APAC, but the name of the wraithly creature, or at least what the fortune hunters referred to it to, was the Omelkun. So there we go. Okay. As I said, obviously you've had that chat, but is there any other activities or anything we want to do tonight at the camp?
I presume that before we go to bed, we're going to arrange shifts to post a watch.
Seems very solid.
I'll also be maybe even spooked by my own ghost story. We'll be double checking the knots on the boats and making sure the boats have like a dagger in each boat so we can slip the line in a hurry if we need to get away, and make sure they're easily launchable, and just a bit of paranoid hyper camping perhaps.
Matt, is there any evidence around the camp of like a path or like some sign that people travel along the riverbank anywhere near where we're camped?
Well, why don't you make me a vigilant roll for that, please, Anton? and follow it up, success or failure, with a vigilant roll at -3. Sorry.
I fail the first one, but make the second one.
Okay. You can't find any evidence either way, whether there's a path on the north of the river. You really don't know. But you do remember having seen a few times that there seems to be a sort of slightly beaten pathway on the south side of the river, which makes more sense. You know, it's the side of the river that has more active settlements on it rather than ruins. Yeah, it's definitely nowhere close to like a road or even like a country path or anything, but it does seem to be a space where people, presumably rangers, barbarians, have trodden out something of a route at some point in the past. You don't know how long it'll carry on up the river.
Okay.
Okay. So we are setting up our usual kind of watch and setting it through the night, keeping kind of one person awake at a time, I would assume. Does someone just want, do we want to randomize? Because I'm going to ask about order of watch now. So do we want to kind of randomize that, or does someone just want to volunteer for the spot I'm asking for? It's up to you guys.
I think Steele's going to take the actual, as often as possible. Steele will take the graveyard watch, the absolute small hours, so kind of 2 while 5.
Okay. Who do we think would take the last watch?
I was about to say Askra would take the watch before the morning.
Okay, well that's probably Askari then. Because yeah, like the two, I think like up to 5 is like the penultimate one because the sun won't rise until 8 or 9 o'clock or something. So okay, we'll go with Askari then, shall we? So Askari, could you please give me a vigilant roll at a -3, please?
Okay, I need a 12. I rolled a 15, so I don't make it.
Okay, then. Well, then, you are standing on the shore of the Malgamore. If anything, you're kind of imagining that it's slightly more rambunctious and rough in the morning than it even was last night. There's quite a lot of driftwood and chunks of other debris kind of coming down the river from where they've broken off somewhere further up on the shores. And light is just starting to sort of tinge the tops of the canopy, and where you can see, like to the east and the west, sort of light in the sky. And as you are sort of distracted by the roar of the river, you are therefore rather surprised when you hear basically you hear a kind of like heavy scampering, running sound somewhere off to the direction you've come on the North Shore. And as you turn around to see what this is, a figure bursts out from the bushes and trees near you, briefly glances around to look for what it's looking for, locks eyes on you, gives out a cross between a hiss and a growl, and bounds forward with flesh-crafted shearing blades that were arms extended out. You know what this is because you were at the sinkhole. This is a clan beast.
Okay, is it one of is clan beasts like the low level ones? Or what?
The ones that seem kind of mindless, like they were almost like hunting dogs. Yes, although you can definitely also now see and hear other, like it's not alone. There are more coming.
Okay.
It's going to be on you this round. Okay. So, yeah, I'm happy for you to because you will almost certainly go before it. And speaking of John, looks like he's already preparing initiative. John, yeah, could we have we could just have the clan beasts for the moment, please, and everyone's initiative. And the clan beasts are at quick 10 and vigilant 15. So Ascarai will go first because he always goes first. So, and I'm happy for you to get a shot at, like, use your bow right now if you want, but like from the noises that are met, you really doubt that you're not going to have clan beasts pouring on top of you when their turn arrives.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think the first thing I would do would be to shout as loudly as I can, like,
Yep.
we're under attack.
Mhm.
Get up to you know, my
Absolutely.
party members, party friends.
Absolutely. Okay, so what are you doing for your combat action?
I will shoot it. Since I have that opportunity, it's good for me to do it. I'm gonna shoot it. I'm gonna mark it with my hunter's instinct, which gives me 2 attempts to try and hit it, and now also gives me a bit more damage. And I'm gonna take 2 shots at it with my combat action and not move.
From fighting them before, you know that the like what these are. Incidentally, we should probably explain for anyone who hasn't watched Wrath of the Warden. Clan beasts are the kind of slavering, extensively flesh-crafted and abomination warped members of the former barbarian clan Jazora, which was wiped out supposedly by the Ambrians upon their sort of invasion of the clan lands 20 years ago. Or not exactly 20, it took a bit longer than that to wipe out Clan Jazora, but they were actually living beneath Thistlehold, all warped and abominified. And when the sinkhole erupted in Thistlehold, they poured forth, and these are their hunting beasts. Formerly human, now something else entirely, slavering, monstrous. They wear no armor. They're naked, and they have like these bone blades sort of mounted where their hands once were. And yeah, they don't have any armor at all. So 2 shots is a good idea. Their defense is +5 because they don't give a shit. They have Berserker, so so that's +7 for you, right?
Okay.
You can't miss, right?
Yeah. Well, I can roll a 20.
You can fumble.
Yeah.
You can fumble. They get a free attack on you, but yeah.
I also have 2 attempts, so I have to roll a 20 twice.
Yeah.
But that's before I laugh. Let's try and not do that. Okay. I rolled a 10, so that's a hit, and I'm rolling a D10 plus a D4 from my Hunter's Instinct Adept level. +1 from my bow, which is a total of 8 damage.
Okay, that's over its pain threshold. I'm assuming we're taking another shot.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I rolled a 2, so it definitely hits. And for damage, I rolled a 5.
Okay. So this first clan beast that burst out of the undergrowth, slavering and raving and hissing, kind of bounds towards you with a couple of steps and then just crashes to the soil of Davakar's ground and rolls over until it reaches almost near your feet, gurgling and making even more unpleasant noises as the 2 arrows that pierced its throat do their work. As it does so, however, you see another 4 clan beasts burst out from the forest. So feel free to take your second shot, like your normal second shot at one of them.
Yeah, I think I can once the initial thing dies, I think I can mark another thing for my hunter.
I think we concluded that you can because it's just like a general free action. I am actually going to penalize this a bit because it's still kind of in the process of coming out from the forest. So you can't, they're more moving forms than something. So you know what? I'm going to half your advantage there. So what is it at? It's at 7. I'll be cruel. Let's just say it's a combat roll at a +3.
Okay. And in that case, I need an 8. I need an 18 on 2 attempts, so still should be doable. I rolled a 14, so that's a hit.
Mhm.
And for damage, it is a 12.
Ooh. Well, that is past its pain threshold, but it's also past its toughness. So I think that one's fine. You catch a glimpse, like the shine of an eye in the forest, a twisted and malevolent eye as it bounds over kind of a fallen log. With more instinct than actual concrete awareness, your bow sings, your arrow flies, and after the battle is done later, you will step out into the trees and find another clan beast with your arrow shaft protruding expertly from its eye into its brain. So that's 2 of them down already. So there we go. Okay, Elindra. So for everyone asleep, I would like them to roll vigilant at I'd say that's comparable. So a -3, please.
Oof.
And every turn that battle goes on, and you're not being hacked to bits in your bedroll, that will increase. But vigilant -3, please.
So I needed a 7 and I rolled a 19. So that's
Okay.
That's a no.
That is indeed a no.
I've also got this open question in my head as to whether Elindra sleeps in her armor or whether the top layer of that gets taken off to sleep
I
in.
would very much doubt that she sleeps in plate armor.
Yeah. Well, I think she's
Or
it's
scale
more medium
or
armor.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's scale. Either way, I don't
It's
think.
not comfortable to sleep in.
No.
So she's probably unarmored as well and asleep
Yeah.
still.
Sure. Aaron Dar, how about you? Vigilant at -3, please.
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Shall I roll for Farron as well, by the way?
Yeah, you know what? Roll for Ferret, and if he wakes up, he's going to wake you up.
Okay. That's usually how cats work.
Yeah.
-3, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Actually, no. I think Ferren doesn't take a -3. I think a wild animal is far more inclined to ignore the sound of a rushing river than a human.
He rolled very badly.
Okay, never mind then. Blissfully unaware. It's those clan beasts then. So I think they've got a pretty good chance of just going for Ascarai, but I don't think that's entirely the case. So I am going to randomize it a bit with the old die rolls. So 2 of them are going for Ascarai. So they are going to get their shots at you. And this is flanking because they are close enough that 2 of them can engage you. So basically, could you give me defense rolls at a that's the accurate plus defense rolls at -3, please. Sam, that's 2 defense rolls at -3.
Okay, I need a 12 or lower. I rolled a 19 on the first one and a 13 on the second one.
Good stuff. So with that in mind, please, can I have 2 armor rolls from you?
Okay, my armor is 2d4. I think Ascar would be wearing his Lindworm cloak.
I think if you're on watch, you're wearing your armor. Yeah, for sure.
So first armor roll is a 6.
Nice.
The second one is a 2.
Okay. So the first clan beast that bounds forward kind of comes at you, kind of both of those bone appendages striking forwards at once, and there's a sort of rattling slight shriek as they scrape across the Lindworm cloak. But that pulls the cloak aside, and the next bone blade, the serrated top edge of it, kind of slices through. Did you wear like leather underneath or something like that? You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, I have a fancy normal armor. I think it's like a woven silk or something like that.
Okay, kind of like well, then these silks part and leave you with a kind of gored, very unpleasant, immediately painful wound on your hip. In fact, you're pretty sure you felt the serration drag across the bone. leaving you with 4 toughness damage.
Okay, that is equal to my pain threshold, but I think that's no longer enough.
No. We are using the errata rules, so it has to be more than your pain threshold. So, yeah.
Okay, lucky for me.
I think that will result in kind of a pained yell from Ascarai, though, which, you know what? For that pained yell, I will allow everyone a vigilant roll at -2 to see if they wake up. Hey, so Alindra has woken. How about you, Mike? You still
I
sleeping?
woke up on the first roll.
Okay, well, on your turn. Cool. Okay, so Alindra is now awake. Anton is awake. Steo and Arindar. How about Ferren?
He rolled a 19.
Terrible cat. Terrible
He's
cat.
just sort of like,
Yeah, sure. Steo. So this is your just general first turn to roll for being awake.
Okay, yes, another
So
attempt. I forgot about this.
it's vigilant. So you haven't made a vigilant -3. What did you just make the one for Ascarai crying? Like
No,
screaming?
I slept all the way through that. So this is now my roll for vigilant -5.
For his
Was it?
original yells, vigilant -3. So
7, 6. Oh, 20.
I'm tempted to say Steo just died in his sleep. No. But God, I think I'll just make it. I think from that, I'll say that Steo is sleeping the very deep sleep of the seasoned and elderly campaigner, and is basically that -3 is not going to improve. So every roll you make is going to be -3. Bear in mind, if something just comes and fucking stabs you, you're obviously instantly awake. But like just from the sound, it's not going to change. So, and obviously, if someone gives you like kicks you awake or something, that's fine.
And just for those keeping score, that is technically my first roll of the day. So I am now on -1.
Oh, yeah, your elderly burden. Okay, there we go. So, but we are now on to Anton, and Anton woke up immediately. So, Anton, what we doing? Obviously, getting up is going to be a movement action.
Yeah, I think because these guys are, as you say, abominified, right? So I can
They are abominations. Yeah.
Yeah, I can use my holy aura, and it's been a
Yeah.
while since I've cracked this out, so I think I'll do that.
Absolutely, let's go with that. I'm sure we'll make the roll.
Yeah, I rolled a 2.
Hey, there we go. And Nick, please do remind us how fucking good the Holy Aura is by reading out the rules, please.
Okay, so it creates. I create a holy aura of energy that is harmful to abominations and undead within sight. The target suffers 1d8 of damage, ignoring armor, and it lasts until I fail a resolute test or I break concentration. I can exclude allied abominations on undead, which isn't relevant, and it requires a holy symbol, which in this case is my Prios brooch thing on my cloak. And living creatures heal 1d4 of toughness per turn with it as well, because I've got it at the adept level.
I have just realized, by the way, I didn't decide who the other clan beast went for, i.e., who was asleep. But I think we're past the turn now. I just made. You know what? It went for Revelia, who I'm not going to be cruel to because she's an NPC, but she's basically awake and like rolling aside from this clan beast, like spitting and hissing and slamming those bones into the earth as it tries to pierce her on them. So yeah, but Anton, so the clan beasts each take D8, did you say?
Yeah.
That's brutal stuff. Well then, you need to make 3 D8 rolls for me.
Okie doke. First one, 4. Second one, 7. Last one, 1.
Okay. And I believe also Ascarai can make a D4 roll for healing.
Do I make that?
Do you want me to make that?
Is it 1d4 roll for for everything, everyone.
It's an individual D4 roll for every living creature.
I am an injured living creature, so I'm going to roll.
Any non-abomination, non-undead living creature.
And
Not
well,
that
even if
undead are living.
I could, even if you were abominified or undead, I could. Oh yeah.
You could choose.
I
to apply.
I think I could exclude them from the damage, but I perhaps couldn't heal them.
I agree. I think that would be weird.
I rolled a 2, which brings me back up to my maximum toughness.
You're having a lovely dream. Oh no, you're awake now. Never mind. Yeah, cool. Okay. Anton, you perhaps even wake up from some odd dream you can't remember, where the sun was shining bright above you on a grassy green hilltop. And as you kind of emerge from that into the chaos and violence that you see as Askarai is desperately trying to fend off these two creatures, you grasp that brooch and invoke that holy aura, perhaps inspired by that dream of the sun. Prios's light flows through you swiftly and decisively. And those of you who are asleep, perhaps you throw your bedroll cover off. Oh, it's nice and warm. But otherwise, Elindra and Askarai, you feel that warmth flow over you, and you hear the popping and hissing as the flesh of the clan beasts starts to broil on their bones, and the creatures cry out in considerable pain, it has to be said. But none of them are dropping yet. They're all still alive. Time for the NPCs. So Revelia, as I say, is basically, she's grabbed her shield and is desperately using it and holding it up as the clan beast kind of slams its claws into it. And also, at the same time as that, 4 other figures emerge from the trees. 3 of the clan Jazora warriors, far sort of less mutated, less warped individuals, but still with odd kind of sloughing or changed flesh on their bodies, kind of more hand-like appendages that still have odd bone protuberances out of them. And one of them is also taller than the others and is carrying a very large metal-plated wooden club, which it starts to roar and wheel around its head in some kind of frenzied fury. So in case we weren't familiar, these individuals aren't, although they are warped and corrupted, they are not actually abominations, just so we know. I think we found that out originally in the battle, in the fight at the sinkhole. However, their arrival and all these events also are going to give us a chance for other people to wake up. So the 2 of you, or 3 of you, I guess, who are still asleep, Aaron and Ferrin, you can take Vigilant at a -1. Steo, it's going to be the same roll again because of the roll of 20.
Aaron doesn't make it, but Ferrin does.
Okay. In that case, what I'm going to say is, on your turn, you will get a movement action, but not a combat action.
Okay.
Is that fair? So you can at least get up.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So I think that's fair. And also, we do need some more individuals on the initiative list. We need Beast Clan Warrior, or you could just put Warriors if it's too much text. And they're at Quick 10 and Vigilant 11. And there are 3 of them. Do you want me to give the other one now, John, or do you want me to wait until you've plugged it in?
No, yeah, give it to me now so I can do it at the same time.
And we have a Beast Clan Guardian who's at Quick 10 and Vigilant 7. That's the large individual with the big old club. Askarai, you don't have much of a choice at this point, I guess. You've got 2 slightly melty clan beasts engaging you in melee. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try and stab. I think I can use my movement action to drop my bow and get my I think a fencing sword out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to use that to try and stab whichever one looks more injured by the boiling, burning stuff that's happening to them.
Sure, absolutely. Well, then their defense is +5. So
Okay, I'm going to use feint. So I basically just need to not roll 20, which I succeeded at. And my damage is a D8 plus a D4 from my feint advantage thing, which is 7.
absolutely. Yeah, the two clan beasts are kind of desperately trying to circle you and find a gap in your defenses. And one of them that looks, it literally has bits falling off it and wetly slapping into the forest floor from the rolling waves of warmth being exuded by the Theurg. And as it leaps forward with a harsh cry, you take a step back with your fencing sword and using it's up to you whether he taught you it or whether you just have seen him use it several times by now and decided to try it out yourself. But you swiftly move one foot around onto a back step and thrust at the same time in the manner you've seen Arindar doing, and the creature impales itself rather unpleasantly through its cheek and its brain pan onto your blade, and you quickly whip it aside as it tumbles off and rolls down the slight incline into the river where its body is borne away to the west. That's another clan beast down.
I think Askra is going to take a look at Arendar, hoping that he saw this and be even more disappointed than he otherwise would be, realizing that Aaron is fast asleep.
Absolutely. He won't wake up for another turn yet. Yeah. So we're on to Elindra. Elindra, you've got a full movement action, a full combat action. At the moment, these warriors and the Guardian have emerged into the kind of the sort of small clearing where you are. Askarai is fighting a clan beast, and Revelia is also on the ground, literally defending herself from the stabbing bone blades of another.
So I am imagining that the closest enemy to me is the clan beast that is attacking Revelia.
Almost certainly. Yes.
So I am going to get up and I'm going to attack that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just to make sure I've got this right, I've got the advantage of long with the sword, but not only is that once per turn, I think we're right in saying that that's only if someone steps into range of me right now, right?
No, it's engagement either way, but it is only, you can only do it once per round, and it's not once per round per individual, right? It's just once per round.
Yeah.
Like,
I could do it for
thing.
this clan beast, and if something else comes into my range later in the round, that's
absolutely correct. So yeah, let's do that. You'll have to use your move. You know what? You have to use your movement action to get up. But I think the clan beast is close enough to you that you don't have to move over to it to engage it. So that's means you can do it. So take your free attack at a +5.
Okie dokie. At +5. Oh, now that's interesting.
Its defense is +5. It's terrible.
Right. Well, that's interesting
because berserk.
I've got strong 15, and so strong 15 +5 is a 20. And would you like to guess what I've just rolled there, Matt?
You have rolled a 20.
I have rolled a 20.
But that free attack only happens after your damage is dealt, right? So it might not matter.
Okay.
At least I'm pretty sure that's the case. That's how we've always played it, I think.
I mean, thought if it's on a D20 you fumble complete. On a 20 you fumble completely.
I think we've always said that on a fumbled hit, no, all a fumbled hit says is if rolling a 20 on an attack, a PC takes a free attack from their target. It does not say that it's also a miss.
Okay.
You seem skeptical. I think we've had this before.
I'm happy to play it either way.
Hit, but you take the free attack back. If someone wants to double check, they're more than welcome to do so.
Someone wants to go through all of the previous streams to find the situation.
No. I mean, if it does say, but the text that I have copied from the book says, all it says is the enemy gets a free attack.
I don't
doesn't
remember
say that
reading anything that says that a 20 is an automatic fail.
I don't think so either.
You're the boss. Okay, so we're gonna roll damage for that then.
I think so. Yeah, and even if this is the wrong interpretation, which John will let us know afterwards, it's what I've said, so it can ride this.
Okay, cool.
Either way.
So damage is d12 plus 1, which is 10. And that's for the
Mhm.
free attack. So then I guess I'm going to take an attack from them and then get my normal attack.
No.
Is that how it-
No. What you're going to do is like scramble up from your bedroll with a cry, and I'm assuming you sleep with your sword next to you.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Yeah. You place one foot on the tip of your scabbard, draw your blade out, and with the drawing cut, swing up towards the clan beast rampaging over Revelia near you, and just sever it in half from groin to shoulder. And the pieces fall apart and carry on burning and boiling as they scatter over the ground.
Cool.
I saw John nodding, which I'm assuming means that I'm right. Is that correct?
Yeah, it doesn't specify either way, and I think I read it with my D&D hat on.
Yeah.
But I think you're.
Unless
I
it
just
says
couldn't
it's an
remember the way we-
automatic fail.
I just couldn't remember the way we'd done it.
We've
That was
definitely
the
done
bit
it this
that-
way in the past, where I
Yeah.
said that if the combination of of like pluses would mean you effectively can't miss, I don't think in that situation 20 somehow becomes an automatic miss or fail, even though it doesn't state that it is in the books. I think essentially when you have those pluses, you're guaranteed to hit, but if you roll a 20, you've overextended yourself, and therefore the enemy gets a return attack, unless you've cut them in half from groin to shoulder, in which case probably not, eh? So there we go. We do have we have Aaron Dar, who's going to wake up and kind of be able to scramble to his feet, but not really do anything much else unless you want to, like, is there any free action or anything you want to take?
I don't think so. Oh no, that doesn't count. The only thing I think no, basically. I started that sentence too many times and it's going nowhere. No, I'm just gonna move into position.
Okay.
Like a defensive position.
Absolutely. Well, there is one clan beast left alive, and we are going to have its attack. So, Askarai, can you roll a defense, please? And it's not flanking you anymore, so just a -1, please.
Okay, I need a 14. I rolled a 17, so I fail.
Okay, then an armor roll, please.
That is a 5.
Okay. Again, your lindworm cloak is kind of thrown back a bit, so its bone blades are finding a bit easier purchase than they normally would, and the tip of one smacks into your collar, and you feel again that serration grind briefly on the bone of your collar and into the soft flesh and muscle behind it. Not too deep, but enough to really fucking hurt. That's just 1 toughness, though, please.
Okay.
Okay, and now we've got the warriors. And you know what? There's 3 of them, and there's 3 of you who are stood up, not being engaged. So I think that works out just fine for me. And they are going to charge each of you. So let's go around left to right. Aaron Dar, you are being... Oh, no, it's if you succeed in your defense roll, right? So their attack, let me double check their accurate. Oh, they've got a good accurate. So can I have your defense at -5, please?
Is that mitigated because I have Farron on my side?
Nope.
that give me-
Attacks from flanked enemies do not suffer.
Can never remember which way.
Only
it goes.
your hit on him will, because Farron is now flanking him.
Okay,
as we agreed.
-5, but
Which,
I do.
for anyone new watching, that's not a rule in the game. That's our rule about what having a pet meerkat does.
But pet meerkat before I actually spend the experience to legitimize them.
It's true.
Once I spend the experience, I can use them as an actual character. I just keep forgetting. -5. I do have my parrying dagger. I fail.
Okay. Well then, Aaron might sleep in his armor. Armor is basically his clothes, right? What is it?
It's the laminate armor.
Oh, it's laminate. Never mind.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Okay then. So that's no armor, right?
Yeah.
What's your pain threshold?
5, I think. Yeah.
Okay then. Then you've hit your pain threshold. So as this creature bounds towards you, you just about find your feet. And as you do find your feet, you kind of whip your sword around, but not fast enough, or maybe it is fast enough, but just not powerful enough to deflect the swing of this creature's arm as it slams those multiple bone blades into I'm going to say into your side, and just drives them home, and you feel like the unpleasantness of your skin and your flesh giving way and popping open to the blade sliding inside as it barrels into you and knocks you backwards. Take 6 toughness.
Okay.
And I think what I'm going to start doing from now on, because I usually just default to knocking you prone rather than taking an extra attack, because it's a bit lighter on you. And you know what? What I'm going to do from now on is I'm just going to roll for it, for whether it's a prone or an extra attack.
The rules as I have them here, for the record,
Oh, go for
is that regardless of whether it's the player doing the attack or doing the defense,
Oh,
the
they
player
choose.
chooses what happens to the
Oh.
character that goes over
Oh.
the pain threshold.
Well then, we will play according to the rules. I did not know that. John,
I
go
choose to
prone.
be knocked prone.
Yeah, absolutely. You are knocked back. The clan warrior is standing above you, kind of like raising its torturously warped fist for another driving blow into you as you lay on the ground. But yeah. Second one, Anton.
Oh man, I do sleep in my robes, which is my armor.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Defense roll.
Yes, please, at a -5.
Jesus Christ. I needed 1 or a 2. I did not roll a 1 or a 2.
Mm-hmm. So give me an armor roll then, please.
Sorry, 4.
4. Okay, well that's not too bad. I'm just also looking at your holy aura. So yeah, unfortunately, it does include breaks concentration.
Yeah, I think that's how I understood it as well.
Yeah, successful roll against resolute. Yeah, and then also. Yeah, so on your turn, you need to make a resolute roll to keep the holy aura going, but also you've taken damage with your concentration. And I will say for a start, this creature bounds over to you, and its flailing fist, rather than this kind of punching stab that it drove into Aaron with, kind of those jagged bone shards from its forearm sort of drag themselves across one arm and down and gouge partway through your robe and leave bloody tracks, just for 2 toughness though. But that means you now need to roll resolute -2 to see if the damage has broken the concentration of your holy aura.
Okay. Do you want me to do that now on my turn?
Oh, it's now on your turn. You've got to just roll resolute to keep it up generally.
Okay. No, I do not make it.
Okay. So let's go to Elindra then. So can you give me a defense roll at -5, please?
Sure. Defense is 13, -5 is, that's maths, 8. I roll a 10, so that's a fail.
Okay. And you are not wearing your armor.
Correct.
What's your pain threshold?
8.
Okay, well that's not reached at least. So again, oh and God, I should have been rolling for something else too. I think we'll be all right because it's a very difficult roll I've got to make. That's a fail. Oh, that is a success, though. And then that is... Oh, that's also a success. Okay. So, couple of things. Anton. Well, actually, it'll hit on your turn, I think. So, never mind. Yeah, Elindra, one of these warriors, again, kind of plows into you. And I'd say you've maybe got your back almost slightly turned as you were carving through this clan beast, and you feel these sort of blades gouge themselves in at the base of your neck and just kind of shear a load of flesh and skin off, leaving kind of the top part of your back kind of partly flayed. Can you take 6 damage, please?
Oof. Yeah.
So we move round to Steo's turn. Steo, give me a vigilant roll, please, at -3.
Sure.
Look, you're doing arts and crafts. It's fine.
7, 6, 5, 4. I need to roll 1, 2, or 3.
Shouldn't he also have had rolls for every time one of us got horrifically injured?
Oh, he probably, yeah, he actually should have done. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Oh, also, it's not 3, it is 4. 7 minus 3
I'm elderly.
is 4, not 3. Oh.
So an extra.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's true. Every time one of you got injured, and that's actually fucking everyone. Make another 3 of those rolls, please, Theo.
14, 16, 12.
Okay. Just can't, just Chris is having an easy night, everyone. Don't feel bad for him. He and Steve both chill.
If only I had some really kind of crucial crowd control skill, it would really take a chunk out of this battle. But sure.
It's true. It is true. So I think I will. At a certain point, it does become ridiculous. So I think at next turn, I will actually start reducing your vigilant, because I think the rolling a 20 aside, I think you've been punished enough at this point. So going forward, we'll start reducing it. And we've got
punished.
Yeah, it's fine.
What I'm picturing with Steo at the moment is that, like, and you kind of get old and like getting out of bed is like there's a routine to it. There's like about 5 minutes of gentle exercise that you have to do before you can move. Yeah. And he's just kind of working through his.
Absolutely. That sounds about right. Actually, you know what? I think the Beast Clan Guardian is going to stride forward, quite confident in how each of you is engaged and being like torn apart by clan beasts and beast clan warriors. And I think that Beast Clan Guardian is just going to stride forward and levy a considerable overhead swing at the sleeping form of Steo. And obviously, I'm not going to make you roll for defense. Also, it strikes ignore armor. I think you're probably not wearing armor anyway, right?
So I do want to dispute that, because Steo is incredibly paranoid, and I have pointed out in the past that sleeping in Davokar, I would wear armor. I'm happy to do a roll on it, but
it doesn't actually matter for this purposes, because it strikes ignore armor. No, if you think you would, I think you've got the character reasons for it. And maybe that's why you're sleeping so well, because you're so tired, because it took you fucking ages to get to sleep in plate armor. So yeah, you know what? I'm happy for it, but it doesn't matter for this particular strike. What's your pain threshold?
My pain threshold is 7.
Absolutely fine then. Steo, you are rather rudely awakened by a huge and extremely painful blunt strike across your back and hips. It's like waking up falling out of a fucking tree. Take 6 toughness and become very quickly aware that there is a huge, twisted and warped Beast Clan Guardian stood over you with a metal-plated, huge wooden club. Your companions also seem to be in the middle of, rather difficult combat.
Oh.
So, yeah. There we go. We're all awake. Hurrah! Just after
it's
Steo's turn, though, unfortunately.
Oh, just after, so we kind of shuffled
the
the
Guardian's
order a little bit
turn.
there. Yeah.
No.
Okay,
Look on the thing. It's the Guardian's turn. Anton, the Holy Aura is gone. I'm assuming you're just fighting back against this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Soz. But where did I say it stabbed you? In your arm? Your arm is starting to tingle and turn very cold. Can you take another 2 points of toughness, please? These have been some terrible rolls, folks. That's all I'm saying.
I'm likely to do more damage with by trying to reactivate Holy Aura than I am by trying to.
There's only one clan beast alive.
Okay. Well, I'll give him a good flailing then.
Give him a good flailing. Well, it's an attack at +3.
I make it.
Okay. What is that damage?
4.
That's 4 damage. So, with that in mind, you sort of take a step away from this Beast Clan warrior and bring your flail around in a thrashing strike that clubs him directly in like the crook of his neck and his shoulder, and you hear it kind of like roar in pain and sort of take a little step back, considering you not quite so easy a foe as it had perhaps initially anticipated. So you've done a bit of damage there. You've done a bit of damage. Okay, Revelia is going to stand back up and probably is going to engage the Beast Clan warrior that Elindra is also fighting. So that means they're flanked for the purposes of things. I don't like to fine control and make attacks for these things. Although, have we done that before with Revelia? Did we just kind of hand over the dice to Stephen on that one?
I have rolled for Revelia on occasions, and I think we've kind of hand waved it on others.
Okay.
Whatever you feel like, I think is how we've ruled it.
Here's actually a good point to question this. How do we feel about that? What do we prefer? Do we prefer me speeding up things with a bit of hand waving for NPCs, or do we like taking a bit of control with them? What do we want?
So there is a system, I believe in Symbaroum there is a party play system, so we should maybe consider that, but maybe not mid combat.
Sure, but I mean, we don't need necessarily to do party play to just roll for them. I have her stats, so we can just roll.
I think for me, I'm just quite happy for it to be up to you, depending on how you want to progress the session and how long the combat's taking and how much trouble we're in and stuff like that. And
sure,
I'm fine to go with the flow.
I
think in this situation, I'd be happy with some rolling going on for Revelia.
I agree with that.
I have no strong feelings in any direction. I just don't want to die.
Sure. Well, in that case, and these rolls are going to be fairly easy. Tell you what, Elindra, give me an attack roll, and your target that you're looking for is 13.
Sure. That is a pass. She's got 2.
And then could you also give me a D8 roll, please?
Sure. That's a 3.
Okay. Revelia has struck the Beast Clan warrior from behind, but doesn't seem to have penetrated its tough, leathery skin and even tougher leather, actual armor over the top of that. But she is at least, providing something of a distraction and has flanked the creature. So there we go. Askarai, we're round to your turn.
Okay, I think I just have one clan beast on me. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
I'm gonna do my best to stab it with my fencing sword. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, that's a hit at a +5 for you.
I do make it, thankfully. And for damage, I roll. Is this the right amount? I think I've rolled a 12. Is that how much I roll? I think it is. Yeah, a D8 and a D4. I rolled an 8 and a 4. So
Okay. Well, then, it's safe to say that this final clan beast kind of now cooling slightly and with some kind of steam and smoke rising off it as Prios's holy fire retreats from across it. It almost kind of seems to shiver in some kind of obscene pleasure at no longer feeling the touch of Prios's wrathful hand. And it dives for you with a howl of joy, which quickly gives way to a gurgle of despair as you slash across its throat with your fencing blade, and it tumbles to the ground, kind of kicking and screaming amongst the leaves and fallen branches, but no longer a threat as it's swiftly dying.
can I use my movement to get my bow ready again?
You could get your bow ready, or if you wanted, you could move over to someone and be flanking for when their attack rolls round. It's up to you.
I think it's probably slightly better to get my bow ready.
I think at the beginning of next turn, having Askarai with a bow in his hands is extremely valuable, yes. Yeah. Okay. Elindra. So you have a Beast Clan warrior on you, which is flanked thanks to Revelia.
Lovely. So that's going to be a +2 on the attack roll.
It'll actually be a +5 because its defense is +3.
Okie dokie. So that's a 10. That's a pass.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing D12 +1 damage, 7 in total.
That unfortunately matches its pain threshold.
Yeah, boo.
Not completely destroys it. But yeah, you wheel round on this warrior, which is now sort of panting and drooling and looking, kind of moving its head swiftly between you and Revelia as you kind of try and move around and take opposite sides of it. Again, you admire she's been trained well, her footwork to immediately try and take the opposite, to move around to the opposite position from her combat partner. And you manage to, weaving under a swipe of its bone blades, you manage to thrust through and impale it through the hip with your sword, which you're fairly sure is a blow most humans would fall to the ground in pain from, but this horrific kind of mutated and warped human barely seems to notice the pain. So we are moving to Arindar, who is lying prone on the ground. But fortunately for Arindar, he has acrobatics.
Unfortunately for Arindar, he's got his penalty for having hit his pain threshold.
Oh, yeah.
I
Shit.
have a second chance to fail things, but it's fine. So I'm rolling quick. Oh, that's a fail. I needed a 13, and my worst roll was 14, but my other roll was 1.
Okay.
So
well, then. Well, you don't have to get back. We've had rules for actually just fighting prone before, right? Where we just fight at a disadvantage. So it's up to you whether you want to spend your entire turn getting to your feet or whether you want to actually just try and stab this thing from the ground. But come next turn.
If I fail that test, which I did, then I can just get up by spending my movement.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that
So-
part of your acrobatics?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine then.
So I just want to double check my first level acrobatics, which allows me to disengage or roll to potentially disengage. I'm trying to figure out whether I need to use a movement action to do that. I'm assuming yes. Yes, because withdrawing from melee normally uses your movement. Okay.
Sure. So are you attacking the thing?
Yes, I'm just going to attack it.
And that will be with advantage from flanking. So, Elindra, did you roll the extra damage for flanking?
I did not. I forgot, and then I remembered while you were describing the damage, and I thought I'd just let it go. But I'll throw an extra D4 on there if you want.
Yeah. Do it.
Cool. That's a 4. Plus the 7 that I did initially.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely past its pain threshold. So, do you want to roll for an extra attack? Or
If
do you want
you're happy
knock
to
it prone?
retcon it so that I do that, then sure.
Well, why don't you do that? It'll be a
Okay.
+5 to hit, and then just tell me the damage at the end, and I'll deal with Arindar here.
It's an easy hit,
So-
and the damage is rubbish. The damage is 4 in total.
All right. Well, that doesn't go through its armor anyway, so
Okay.
there we go. Aaron, where were we? You attacking this thing, right?
You're telling me the bonus to try and hit it.
+5.
Cool. So, my target is 21. I make that, and then I roll my d12 plus d4.
Do you not need to roll again to see if you do a
I
fumble
did.
hit?
I rolled 2 d20s.
Okay.
That is 7 damage.
Plus the flanking damage?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, unfortunately, that just hits its pain threshold. But you you don't use your acrobatics to get to your feet, right? Because otherwise I'd have you doing a kind of wrestling style kip up. But you don't do that. You just scramble up to your feet instead. This thing is a raving monstrosity, but it's not a particularly adept combatant, and you manage to stab it through lightly a couple of times while it's desperately trying to get its bone claws on you and Ferrin. And speaking of trying to get bone claws on people, it's the clan beast's turn again. Well, actually, not the clan. We can wipe out the clan beast from the initiative, but it's the beast warrior's turn again. And they're all still alive. How good is that? Elindra, sorry, you should have taken 2 damage to toughness on your turn from poison as well.
Oh, well, I'll do that then. Okay.
The back, your back is starting to feel odd and tingly and cold, which is just no fun for anyone. So let's start with Arindar again. So please give me a defense roll at -5.
Okay. I have a target of 9 and 2 d20s. And my worst is a 20.
That's not ideal.
I'm trying to think. It'll be an
Oh, you're gonna, yeah. I would
promised
say this
myself I wouldn't spend any more rerolls.
Sure. I would say this though. I think it would be very unfair if people, basically, if you spend XP on a reroll, it overwrites the pain threshold rule, right? Like, I'm not going to make you roll twice and take the worst if you spend an XP. So, in case that happens, that is what I would say. Yeah.
I just realized something that I probably shouldn't be rolling them at the same time because, yeah, doesn't matter. Extra 3. I'm a little bit beaten up. I'm going to spend that experience.
I was going to say, experience doesn't help with the next character.
No.
Yeah, because in this circumstance, even if you fail again, at least you don't take the extra fumble defense. Well, not unless you're rolling on the 20.
That was a 14, so that was still a fail, but not a fumble.
And you're wearing no armor.
Yep.
So that's going to be your pain threshold again, because that's going to be another 6 damage.
Cool.
How close are you to your end of your toughness? You must be not far.
I'm on 3 toughness.
Okay. So are you choosing to be knocked prone again? Because
Yes.
it barely impacts you at all.
Yeah.
You are thumped very firmly again, this time in your chest by the creature, and you feel those bone blades slicing through flesh and muscle, and you collapse backwards again to the ground as it gives out a cry of what you think is an anticipation of impending victory. So, next we've got Anton. Defense roll, please, at -5.
1 or a 2. No.
Okay. Armor roll, then, please.
Oh, God. 2.
Okay, what's your pain threshold? Is that 4? Sorry. You're on mute. You are.
I don't know how I got on mute there. Yes, it was 4.
Mike, you go on mute mid-sentence if you could. So
That's how badly things
well,
are going.
it's equaled it because 4 is the damage you take. As again, those bone claws slice through robe and flesh. I was not expecting this to be as difficult, but I guess this is what I get for not waking half of you up and then not having you wear armor either, I suppose. But there we go. No regrets. So, Elindra, do you want to roll a defense at -5, please?
Sure.
Before you start that, do I take 2 poison damage as well?
Only on your turn.
Oh, okay.
So that's a fail.
Okay. And you're wearing no armor either, but your pain threshold is like 7 or something, right?
8. Yeah.
It's 8, yeah. Yeah, just another 6 damage from those bone blades slicing across your tender belly.
'Tis but a scratch.
This is going well. Steo.
Yeah.
Right, it's Steo time. It's
What do
actually
you
not
say,
Steo time because
Mastio?
there's no way I'm going to be able to get my spear out in time to do anything reasonable. So
Yeah, you
Maybe
can get
next
up, and you're already engaged. But I'd say in getting up, you can. Yeah, it can proc you long. That's fine.
It's about 5 to Steo.
Yeah,
it's about 5 to Steo, and I'm wearing sunglasses.
So you're using your movement action to get up, I assume.
Yeah.
And then you can. Are you immediately going to engage this guard that's stood over you? This
I am
guardian?
already engaged, so nothing I have procs, but I am going to hit him.
Okay. I was going to give you the engagement for like rolling aside and then standing up. I think you're trained enough that you wouldn't just get up within its range.
Okay, I'll accept that. This is dire straits, but it feels a bit cheap.
Oh, you can
Right.
you can refuse me if you want, but I thought that was reasonable. But
I
yeah.
think we will. I think we'll go ahead and take the Devil's Gambit here.
And it's
so
a
what
flat.
is
It's a
my
flat
attack
attack.
against
It's a flat roll. Its defense is a flat 0.
So is my attack, because while I am elderly, I also have the accurate spear. So 15 or less. 7.
Nice. And damage, please.
D10 plus 1. 9.
Okay. It's wearing kind of like clumps of leather and metal from armor that seems to have partly fused into its flesh. And as you kind of stand, you kind of roll and stand and strike as it comes towards you, belligerently bellowing an ungodly noise. You manage to strike, fairly true, a good stab in its chest, which it doesn't seem to particularly feel, but you can tell from the ichor pumping out of it that it's definitely done something unpleasant to its insides. Unfortunately, again, not a killing blow or a pain threshold blow. And also, can you roll defense, a flat defense roll for me, please?
I can try. I succeed.
Okay. That ichor that pumps out of it sprays the nearby bushes and leaves and starts giving off a stinking, hissing noise and scent.
So I
And it
believe
occurs
because
to
that
you-
was. Go ahead.
Go for it. No, go for it.
So that's also me disengaged from him as well.
If that's what you've done, yeah, because that's part of your thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Because that was your free attack. Is it?
Yes. So the free attack only procs.
It's the one that
Yeah.
you can knock it back. Yeah. I guess the question is, do you want another hit on it or not?
I want the option of action, but I suppose I don't have any movement actions left, so it's either another hit on it or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I think I need
It's
to.
either- We're going for it.
Yeah.
We're going for taking it, like not driving it back, but re-engaging with it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, not re-engaging, but being engaged. Yeah, make another hit on it then. Flat attack roll.
15 or less. 8.
Nice. And that damage?
7.
7. Okay, accounting for its thing. With another piercing strike, you gore the side of its neck, leaving a flap unpleasantly hanging halfway down its collarbone. You're gonna have to roll defense again for the acid blood spray, I'm afraid, but it's a 20. Okay, you do get an armor roll against it. So I think we looked this up, and you do, but you're on mute, by the way.
It took me a while to find the unmute button. 8 on the armor.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Your armor is taking some kind of like nasty pitting and scarring from it, though. But otherwise, it's doing the job. It's gonna have to be. You're gonna have to hold it in the river after this is done. So there we go. And now we're on to the Guardian's turn. And as part of it, you can see that the flesh, where that flap is hanging off its neck, is starting to knit and close. And that flap is starting to slowly lift up and go back into place as its unnatural and corruptive regenerative qualities take over. And also it's going to hit you. So have a defense roll at a -5, please. No, I genuinely think no one has made a defense roll since this started, other than one from Ascarai in the very first round.
I wonder, because this. So before we go any further, I'm going to have the do I spend XP on this debate, because it is a 5 or less to get this done, but the amount of damage this thing does per turn. Let me see how much danger am I in? I have 7 hits.
It will do 6 damage because it ignores armor.
It's going to do 6 without any, and I'm going to be on 1, and then we have to finish it next turn. I'm going to spend the XP and try again.
Okay. Bold plays.
Okay, here we go. And that's a 9, which is also a waste of XP.
Okay. You feel a crunch as your breastplate partly gives way through a great swinging blow of the club. Ribs underneath also give way. You imagine that the acid, but partially burning through the armor, has weakened it somewhat. And take another 6 points of toughness, please. That is rough stuff. Anton, it's your turn, my friend.
Oh god, this thing that I'm fighting, this is an abomination as well, right?
No.
Okay.
Nope. They count as human.
Right. Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I'll just have at it, I think.
Sure. So that is a strike at a +3, please.
Yeah,
and take 2 poison damage.
Well, I was going to ask about that.
Mm-hmm.
When does that happen? Does that happen at the start of the turn?
Yeah, I think so. Why does that take you into?
Well, it leaves me on 0.
Down you go then.
Yeah.
You feel those cold tendrils running through your arm and your chest. I believe I said it hit you on your arm, and you feel kind of like your breathing start to hitch and your heart starting to murmur, and you collapse on the forest floor. Time for Revelia, because you don't have to make a thing roll until next turn, right? So Revelia is probably going to strike at the flanked thing, fighting Alindra. So do you want to make a roll, please?
Yep.
Oh, interesting. 1 second, folks. My headphones are being weird.
Are you back? Hello.
Can someone talk? There we are. I'm back.
Yes,
back.
cool.
Headphones are being slightly weird today.
Revelia,
so can you
attack?
Was that a 1? Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you roll damage for her?
Yeah. What is she? D8.
She's a D8, and don't forget to add the flanking and the
D8 and D4. 8,
and
9.
D6 for the
and
perfect,
D6 for the perfect strike. Yeah.
Oh, 11 and then a d6. 12.
Okay, yeah.
I
The beast warrior kind of rounds on you and decides to focus on what it perceives as a stronger opponent, and as it does so, Revelia drives the kind of edge of her shield into the back of it, leading it to kind of go down and crumple on one knee. She takes as she draws back, she lets go of her shield, double hands the sword, swipes out, and takes its head clean off. It looks very practiced. And you know it does because you have been taught that yourself. So there we go. A kill for Revelia. Ascarai, wiping the enemy party now? Is that what we're doing?
Let's hope so.
Let's fucking hope so.
It's us
right?
or them at this point.
Yeah. So Antom and Arendar both have Beast Clan warriors standing over them. Arendar is kind of like scrabbling backwards and whipping his sword across to try and defend himself. Antom looks unconscious.
Does it? Looking at the warrior fighting Antom, does it look like he's gonna go? It's fair if you can't say, but does it look like the warrior over Antom is gonna like execute Antom, or does it look like he's seen Antom go down?
Almost certainly.
Okay, in that case, I'm gonna shoot the one fighting Antom.
Sure.
Yeah, and I can't. These people are quite armored. Is that right? They look quite armored.
Yeah, they have kind of leather. They have kind of tough, thick, boiled skin and leather armor, kind of.
Okay, I'm gonna do an armor piercing. I'm gonna appoint this one as my hunter's instinct target, and I'm gonna.
I mean, it's not really good armor, but they do have armor. Yeah.
I'm gonna do 2 shots. I'm gonna hedge
yeah, I would ask the question as well. Does armor piercing? I think we've had this question before. If something ignores armor, does it also ignore points from robust and other monstrous traits? I'm not sure if it does. But either way, you've gone for a double shot, so it's fine.
I'm gonna go for 2 shots. What is the modifier on this?
+5. No, +3.
+3. Okay, I need an 18, but I get 2 chances. I rolled an 8, so that's a hit. It's a D10 plus a D4 of Hunter's Instinct, which is 11 damage total.
Okay, well that is past its pain threshold.
Okay,
after the armor is taken off.
I'm going to shoot it again. So, yeah, I rolled a 14, so it's a hit. And for damage, I rolled 4.
Oof, unfortunately, that's its armor. So your second arrow just kind of like dangles half embedded off its shoulder. But you've got your second shot, right?
Yeah, I have a second shot. I'm gonna take my second shot and hope for a bit better. I rolled a 1. Seems good.
That's nice. Don't forget to add your d6 for damage.
Okay, that's 14 damage.
Yeah, sure. So your final arrow just kind of slams into the side of its temple, and it drops like a boned fish to the forest floor, jerking and quivering slightly as its nervous system shuts down. Are you doing anything with your movement action?
I don't have a movement because I use it to take my double shot.
Use it to take the double shot. Yeah.
Otherwise, I would run to Anton. But
well, Elindra, just to set the scene, there is a prone but alive and aware Arendar with a beast warrior stood over him. There is a beast guardian fighting Steo, and they've both taken quite heavy damage. And also, you're going to take 2 points of damage from poison.
Cool. Let's do that first.
Which is the final points of damage from poison.
Okay. Do I get a sense of which out of Aaron and Steo appear to be in the most immediate danger?
I mean, I'd say they're both in quite a lot of trouble. I don't think either of them can take another hit without being downed.
Right. Okay. Then I am going to go for the tougher of the two and aim at the Guardian. We can do that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
So am I moving into engagement range?
You absolutely
with
are,
him?
which means you get a long, your free long hit.
I take it the club doesn't count as long.
Well, that's actually a good question.
I don't know how big this thing
I hope
is.
not. No, it's a heavy weapon, not a long weapon. So,
Okay.
yeah, so take your free attack. It's a flat. Actually, it's flanked now, so it's an attack at +2.
Okay, that is a hit.
Okay, and
That's
roll for damage, please.
Which is
Don't
my
forget your flank damage.
D12 plus 1 plus the D4, so 11.
11, you say. So that is going to be brain fart. Okay, no, yes, that's fine. Yeah, you step towards the creature and with a cry give a kind of overhead sweep that crunches down, severs its arm off at the root and leaves it tumbling to the ground, wheezing and kind of howling in pain as it tries to get up, but then slumps down and slowly breathes its last. However, could you roll defense?
Sure. That's a 20, which I think I'm going to spend an XP on that.
Sure.
And go again. Hang on, let me just... I'll note it on the sheet in a minute. Or we'll do the reroll now. 11 defense, which is well, are there any modifiers on it or just...
No.
Then, yes, I passed the defense roll.
Okay, then the acid blood does not spray over you, which is probably a pretty good thing.
Yes, I would say so.
So, Steo, is it your turn? No, it's Aaron. No, it's Aaron's turn. Yeah. So, Aaron Dar, what are you doing?
Can anybody confirm to me whether using a herbal cure on myself is a movement or a free action?
I think it is entirely unreasonable to use a herbal cure on yourself while you're in the middle of combat.
Fair enough. There's a thing for applying elixir, but that's not an elixir. Okay.
Yeah.
Elixir is all. Herbal cure is
Yeah.
find your wound, apply you the poultice.
That's
Performing first aid is listed as a combat action.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but I think doing it to yourself while something is attacking you is not a reasonable thing to be doing.
Okay. First thing, I'm going to roll my quick for standing up.
Mm-hmm.
The first one seemed to be a pass. Second one's also a pass. So I stand up as a free action.
Okay.
Now, I could attack. I'm not confident in my ability. Who else is up at the moment? Steo's up.
Everyone but Anton. Everyone but Anton is up. But none of them will act before the warrior acts. It's just you before the warrior acts.
My idea is to try and disengage from combat.
Okay.
And then run towards Steo to try and get behind a spear line.
Okay. But presumably the disengagement runs the risk of a free attack on you.
Not if I roll my acrobatics. First level acrobatics is I can roll quick to avoid a free attack when disengaging.
Okay.
You look very unconvinced.
I don't know. No, I'm not unconvinced. I'm telling you the dangers. That's all. Don't forget that you have a second chance to fail because of your pain threshold.
But I just passed that quick check.
Sure. What is your quick?
Statistically
13.
speaking.
13.
Yeah.
So you got two 7 of 20 chances to take that free attack. I mean, you'd still roll your defense, even if they do a free attacks. That's kind of utter -5, but that's multiple fallbacks.
I don't think there's a good answer here. I think whichever way he does it, he's kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Your mic has gone weird again, Chris.
It has.
I guess the other option is trying to kill it, right?
Yeah.
What's your damage? It's flanked, remember?
It's true. If I managed to hit it, it would be D12 and a D4. You know what? I'm going to try and hit it. I'm going to do it this way around. I'm going to try and hit it.
Yeah, because you can try and hit it first, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
And then you can try and disengage if you want. Yeah. So your attack is at a +5.
That is a hit. And that, and that. And only 4 damage.
4 damage on a D12 plus a D4.
Yeah, they both rolled 2.
Jesus. Well, that doesn't beat its armor. So I guess we're disengaging now, Aaron.
I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can.
Mm-hmm.
So first quick roll is a pass. Second quick roll is a pass.
There we go. The creature comes for you roaring, and at the last minute, Ferrin, nipping at the back of its knee and its calf, distracts it enough. It kind of whips round and thrashes at Ferrin, but Ferrin is gone off into a bush nearby, hissing and snarling as you bound over to take a step behind Steo, who is standing wobbly but on his feet, with his spear leveled at the warrior. And said spear is going to run forwards, and you've said you're behind Steo, so I'm perfectly happy. It's going to charge at Steo is what I'm saying. So Steo, do you want to take your free attack on this engagement, please?
I mean, that is entirely cogent on whether or not I am poisoned.
You're not poisoned. You were only hit by the guard. The Guardian doesn't have poison. You can't really apply poison to a club. I suppose you could. But regardless, it is done. So yeah.
Am I being engaged?
You are being engaged, sir. So do you want to give an attack at a +3, please?
I really would. And that is a success.
Okay, and the damage roll, please.
2.
Just 2.
Just 2.
Well, it does not get back past its armor, but I'm assuming you're keeping it at arm's length.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, please. So here we go. I was hoping we'd end this combat before we go around to Antom's turn for a death roll again. But it's looking like we might not do that unless here, friends, the warrior's had its turn. It's now Steo's turn. So Steo, I'm assuming you're engaging for the free attack no matter what.
It's either that or my throwing weapons, but the throwing weapons newly acquired are a D8, and I don't fancy my chances of beating its armor based on previous examples. So, yeah, I think in a last effort, Steo will utter a weak-sounding battle cry and will charge and re-engage.
Okay. So, an attack at +3, please.
Okay, I rolled 15. My target is 15. That's okay. That's okay. We made it.
Did Steo not engage the Guardian last time? This isn't the Guardian.
Oh, is it not?
No, it's the warrior that was fighting. The Guardian's dead. Elindra just chopped its arm off.
Oh,
this is the warrior that was fighting Arindar.
Okay.
But it's still +3, yeah?
I mean, the Guardian wasn't +3, but it is a +3 to hit it, yeah.
I still succeed because I rolled a 15, and that's my accurate. So any way you roll it, +3 is still good.
Yeah.
The D10. Oh, 11.
11 was that.
Steo.
That is spot. Well, it's actually 1 more damage than was needed. The creature charges for you again, desperate to take someone other than the priest down, because the priest is already done for, clearly. and as it does so, trying to get to Arindar, who's sort of danced his way through the clearing to just behind you. You thrust out and use those classic infantry skills that we don't use so much nowadays. But you brace one foot against the base of your spear, drop it just at the right time, and drive it through the chest of the creature, which gives a last wheezing cry and tumbles dead to the ground. So I am perfectly willing for someone to tend to Anton before he has to make a death roll. If we wish to do that. Question mark, Steo.
Yeah.
I don't think
so.
like we don't have to like I think as long as someone can come over and attend to him, then we don't
Yep, I'll patch him up.
No rush, lads.
I can roll my Medicus if you wish.
well, that I mean, he does need to come off 0 toughness to not start making death rolls. So it's up to you whether you want to roll Medicus or you want to say fuck it and give him a draft of the Water of the Dusk.
No, unless someone's stopping me, I'm going to do this properly with the Medicus.
Okay.
So that
I will flag that if you fail, he's going to make a death roll. You can still do it. Like it's like 1 in 20 that he'll die. So
that's a
you can
risk
also use
I'm
a
willing to
healing
take.
thing for like a guaranteed 1. Is that how that works?
oh yeah, you
Yes.
could just use a thing for a guaranteed 1 and then make your roll.
Do you know
That's a
what?
good
Yes,
shout.
this is dire circumstances. I will burn 2 packs. Then I will give him I suppose systemically, what I will do is give him a untrained health poultice. Probably just shove it into the wound to
Or
stabilize
just
him.
bind it on to the most bleeding part of him or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get 1
and
point
then
of health from that.
1 point of toughness from that. Anton, you start to come round. He's got quite ragged breath, but he's certainly alive. And then presumably make your Medicus roll to see if you can make a lot of it better. You're on mute, by the way.
Cutting's 11, but I'm elderly, so this is a coin flip. I succeed.
Hooray! So with the herbal cure, how much of a toughness roll is that?
That is 1d8 because I have adept.
Okay,
That's 5.
that's not bad.
Very handy.
Yeah, you basically identify rather quickly that he's been poisoned because of the ragged breath and the rather unpleasant-looking wounds on his arm, and you manage to kind of put the right kind of herbal salve on it and get him to, it's like eucalyptus or something. You kind of Davakar equivalent of eucalyptus to clear his lungs and get him aware again. Anton, you're coming to quite steadily now.
You don't get out of it that easily, priest.
I don't know what happened there. Things went south so quickly.
I wish we could go south quickly.
I think maybe 2 guards on watch from now on.
I did shout, but you are bloody heavy sleepers, you guys.
It's been a lot of paddling.
Yeah, I guess.
How's everyone else doing? Pretty beaten up.
Theo looks like a ghost, but he will say, I'm fine. There are bits of steel hanging off.
Yeah, I think Elindra's probably beyond the ability to speak now, and she's just kind of standing there looking quite grey.
Sure, everyone has taken damage, right? So I think what we can do is let's do it one at a time. Steo's the one most up and about at the moment. So starting with yourself, Chris, can you make whatever Medicus rolls you want for the other people? And you decide yourself whether you're using a herbal cure or not and make the rolls accordingly. And please, can you just tell Elindra, like Stephen, Sam, and John how much you're healing them for first? And yourself, if anything at all, if you succeed, obviously.
Okay, so I'm basically doing myself and then everyone else around, so it's all coin flips.
Yeah.
A 1 on myself, that's a critical heal.
which has no mechanics.
Stephen is healed. Alindra even. Ascarai is not healed. Antom is also healed.
You've already done Anton.
And Aaron is... Oh, have I? Okay. Well, that can roll over to Aaron.
That can roll over to Arendar. That's fine. So are you decide on whether you're using herbal cures and give them their rolls if accordingly?
Herbal cures all round. So myself first is D8. That's 8. Thank you very much,
Nice.
myself. You're welcome, myself. Alindra, you get a 1. Sorry. Ascarai, I'm very sorry.
Ascarai failed.
But feel free to re-roll for mine.
No. We carried it over last time, so
That's
we carry it over this time. That's a 1 for Arendar as well. Okay, I won't just turn this into a festival of healing rolls at the end. We'll do Antom's healing rolls maybe at the beginning next time or in between or something. The sun is now kind of just over the horizon, and the forest around you is starting to light up. Birdsong has started to emerge near you after the cessation of it, with the roaring and the pain and the violence that was going on. It's a hell of a way to wake up in Davokar, I suppose. Are there any sort of actions? We'll obviously cover Antom's healing rolls kind of separately as he wants to make them. But is there any kind of specific action or discussion you want to have before you set out onto the river again?
I think at this point, yeah. So that's the Xeric clan then. So we know they've come north.
Jazora
clan then.
Did they come for us?
No, didn't we? We learned that they were heading north when we were below.
There were rumors that they had been seen heading north through the forest. Yeah.
So we've chased them north out of Thistlehold and then run into them. Essentially,
did not need to see them again.
We're not in a good way to being so early in our journey. But I don't think we can turn back. I mean,
I'm going to sleep in my armor from now on.
Oh God. We just got to keep going. We got the Black Cloaks behind us. Looks like we're breaking the wake for them from any further Jazora, any more of the patrols from this clan. At least we know how they. Yeah, at least we know how they fight. We fought them before, and that's an advantage in Davokar, surely.
Yeah, and do you think these things could have been what you saw on the south bank, and they crossed the river, or is there something else waiting for us on the other bank?
I mean, it could have been, but you really can't tell.
Potentially. I don't trust our luck that much. Like you said, two people on watch.
Are we going back on the river?
Well, if we're on the river, we only have to deal with this stuff at night.
I don't much enjoy the land right now. And I suspect I might be less tasty to the insects.
Yeah, in fairness, we've lost a lot of blood. Shall we at least take a late day? Let's break out some of the good salt beef for breakfast.
That seems to be a rough consensus on the salt beef, which is obviously the cliffhanger we were waiting for to end this episode. So I think we will wrap it up there, and we will continue our journey to New Earthmore next week, folks. Please sling some comments and questions into the chat if you want us to bring them up and talk about them. In the meantime, promo. you're watching this on one of two places, either YouTube or Twitch. If you check below this video, you'll find the link to the other one if you want to watch us live or watch our archives or whatever. There's also links to Patreon, to Discord, to our social media. Get involved with those if they are things that might interest you. We currently run 2 series a week. There is Vason on Mondays, and it's coming back for the new year this Monday. So please do check that out. And Symbaroum is obviously on Wednesdays. We run one-shots once a month, but in January of 2023, there will be 2 one-shots because we didn't do one in December that we'd intended to. This Saturday is the first one of those, which is the finale of our Alien trilogy. Please join us for that. It's going to be a lot of fun in a masochistic kind of way. That's happening at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at GMT this Saturday. That's the 7th of January. Pardon me. And then the second one, which is also a sequel and also a Free League game, also a licensed IP Free League game, is The One Ring, which is their Lord of the Rings role-playing game, which is on Sunday, the 22nd of January. That's a sequel to a one-shot we did the year before last, I think. Wow. Which is actually an adaptation of the storyline from Lord of the Rings Online, which is one of my favorite video games of all time. So if you have any interest in that, please come along on Sunday, January 22nd. If you want to watch the previous installments of either of those sequels, they are on our YouTube. If you go to a one-shots playlist, there is lots and lots of different one-shots on there for you to enjoy, some of which are some of the favoritist things that I've done on the channel. So there we go. Comments, questions, please, John. Oh, and also a thank you to, I'm trying to figure out which of these were already thanked before the festive season, but Sonel and Kalol, thank you for your follows over the last couple of weeks. John, comments and things. Steve, so if it's a TPK, you start Throne of Thorns from the beginning again, right? Yeah, Throne of Thorns is a roguelike, so we'll give a little bit of XP bonus, and then they start again from scratch. Not with Copper Crown, just Throne of Thorns. I'm not cruel. Yeah, Mike, the last autosave was in Thistlehold. Yeah. Yep. Sam, Mike's on mute to practice a different voice for his next character. There's been 2 murders. Lowin, Mike could play this theater friend of his from Carvosti. Can't remember his name. I'm not going to rise to it.
It's not going to go away.
I think he should play a Theurg friend of his from the very first episode. Steve, Acid Blood, nicely thematic for Saturday's one shot. Absolutely. And unintentional. But yes, if you want to see more Acid for Blood in more exciting ways, then tune in on Saturday. Just asking for a friend, was the agreement that you could spend XP on death saves or not? They cannot spend XP on death saves. We agreed that it would undercut the impact of making death saves. But luckily for Mike, combat ended just in time. Don't kick food. After watching episode 0 this week, I was thinking the Witch Hammer seems way less vicious, but I guess that's not correct. The Witch Hammer is going to be a lot more challenging than everything that's come before it.
I think the worst thing about this fight is I don't even think this is like a mage. This is just like a random encounter. We still all nearly died.
It is a random encounter, and also not a random encounter from the Witch Hammer. It's a random encounter listed in Wrath of the Warden. And I'm using the Wrath of the Warden traversing Davokar random encounter tables because you only had a couple of them in Wrath of the Warden. And I want to pad out the journeys around Davokar here because it makes no sense that nothing would happen as you travel around between these places. So it's actually an encounter from Wrath of the Warden. This isn't even a Witch Hammer encounter.
It's not even a proper fight. Ugh.
This was supposed to just be like a slightly spicier breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to it, this encounter does say this is quite a challenging encounter for most groups at this stage, so it's not. And also, like, don't forget, it was made a lot harder by the fact that you were all fucking asleep. Like, yeah. There were, if you're interested, there are a few rolls you could have made if you went to investigate the other shore, or if you like sort of backtracked a bit and looked for, you might have found them and then be anticipating them, but or even been able to attack them. But it's easy to get complacent in Davokar your first few days in, I think.
Yeah, I suppose if you're reluctant when you're making camp to go and like poke around the local area because you don't want to disturb anything, well, it's probably still going to come for you just on its terms.
Exactly. So yeah, there we go. Revelia's just fresh-faced and covered in blood. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she's killed an abominable creature. She's got no reluctance or regrets about that.
Getting carried by the NPCs, I gotta love it.
Yeah, very happy to
Again, I
have a
suppose.
Revelia.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. Was there something else that I spotted that I can't remember? I don't think so. It's all fine. Yeah, so there we go, folks. More Symbaroum next week. Tune in next Wednesday. Vason restarts on Monday. Check that out. And yeah, this Saturday, Alien, the finale to our trilogy. First came A Place of Burning, then A Congress of Sorrows, and now we have an Offering of Locusts this Saturday. All happy, super fun, light-hearted stuff. Please tune in for the finale of the Gehenna trilogy. Yeah, it's gonna be a good bad time. So that's good. Take care. Stay safe, folks. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.